Welcome back, Double Team to Fame. How are we doing on this lovely, lovely Thursday? I hope the Mercury retrograde did not treat you too badly. You know how Nikki and I went. Please send support in the form of Patreon subscriptions. Anyways, today we welcome our favorite astrologer and spiritual plant medicine all around perfect person, Astro Daddy, if you will. Hi, Danny. How are you?
I'm good, Cammie. How are you?
Stressed as fuck.
I wish you guys could hear this in the headphones because it's like, hi, Danny. How are you?
Hey.
I'm good. How are you?
Phone sex operator voice on.
Yes, Danny and I will be doing a erotica audio
Live stream.
special
And then
coming to you
she gently caressed my butthole.
very soon. And then
Oh my god.
an unassuming pineapple enters the building.
Hey, you know I wore the pineapple shirt.
Yes.
So this is actually the perfect segue into what I want to talk
Is it?
about.
Yeah,
Okay.
baby. Segue me in, mama.
This is a perfect segue because I wanted to talk about Mercury signs and dirty talk.
Baby.
Our Mercury's in Scorpio, right?
Mercury's in Scorpio.
Oh,
Yep.
I didn't realize that. I mean, I know I've looked at both of your charts, but
I know, but you don't remember everyone's placements.
I know,
yeah, I
right?
get that, yeah.
You're not gonna look
I
at it
remember
and be
most
like, I
people's.
remember your.
I'll remember a lot. Like, you know, the North Node is in the 8th house. It's in Sagittarius. You guys are
Yeah.
Libra rising.
Aries.
Rising with a Libra sun and moon.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
new and babies, like you.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all the new moon trio.
Yeah, but we are Mercury or Scorpio Mercuries. So
Yes, that's such an FBI placement.
is it?
Yes, the Scorpio Mercury wants to get to the root of everything. It's
Oh,
like
yes.
it cannot live without knowing.
Yes.
Oh, that is.
Oh
an
my
interesting-
god, if that is not Nikki and I. And that's like that's the worst thing is like I don't ever know how to stop my questioning. It's like if Nikki is like if something's going on, she'll be like, "Oh yeah, me and so are having an argument." I'm like, "About what?" And she was like, and I was like, "Do you want to tell me?" And she'll be like, "Maybe." And I'm like, "Right now?"
I told her once. I was like, "Not yet," and then she was like, "Well, what's going on?" And I'm like, "I'm not going to tell you yet." And she was like, "Well, when are you going to tell me?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I haven't decided." And so,
But that's happened in reverse too. So like,
Yeah,
but I definitely resonate with that because I feel like I always have to know everything, every single little detail about something.
It's the FBI placement, girl. Mercury in Scorpio wants to know. It wants to get to the bottom of things.
Oh,
so it's funny. One of my current partners, he's also Scorpio Mercury, and I love communicating
Ooh.
between the two of us because we're always like constantly like diving in and getting deep. And I found, and this is why I was curious about the topic, that when it comes to like dirty talk, we both have kind of the same styles,
Mhm.
or we like the same things. Like for example, if like we're in bed and we're having sex, and I say something like "use me" or like "come for me" or something like that, it sends him over the edge, right?
Yes.
And for me, I'm the same way. If someone's like telling me that like something in relation to how do I word it? Like it can be a variety of things, but like if it has something to do with like the way that we're like having sex together, it's something about the moment that
The
sends
rhythm.
Me, yeah, that sends me over the edge.
Well, let's define some Mercury aspects.
Okay.
What do you guys think Mercury is in astrology? You're both astrologers too, so
Communication,
technology,
yes.
third
short-term-
house.
short-term
Third
travel,
house, yes.
or short travel.
Yes.
Is it pets?
Yeah, pets, I believe. Siblings as well. Cousins are also third house.
I don't know, cousins.
Yes.
What else? Those are the things.
Yeah.
Those are the major
You
themes
have
for
a
me.
pretty good understanding of the basics of Mercury, but
Mhm.
if we really think about it, Mercury is like a magnifying glass. So, the ruling signs are Virgo and Gemini.
Mhm.
So these signs are really like zoomed in on one thing. So Virgo is zoomed in on the details of life. It's obsessed with like, oh my God, there is a little speck on this table and we have to wipe it off. And then, it's the OCD sign. Whereas Gemini's spin on Mercury is being focused on the community that they live in. They might be viewed by others as having a small world view because they really only know their local environment. But either way, we look at the opposite signs, Pisces and Sagittarius. Those are Jupiter signs. So that's the big lens. That's zooming out.
Oh.
So when we think about Mercury in the birth chart, it's how we communicate. It's how we lay down our boundaries. It's the way our brain thinks. It's what we like to talk about. So you guys have Mercury and Scorpio. You guys like to talk about sex. And in fact,
Funny
you're
that.
doing, yeah. So anything that's Scorpio in your birth chart, because that North Node is in the 8th house, is going to take you into your destiny. So talking about sex takes you into your destiny in this lifetime. But it's just that zoomed in lens. What is somebody really focusing on the day to day? Because that's what Mercury is. It's the details of the day to day life. Whereas Jupiter, opposite kind of energy, the big picture of your life.
I like that.
You know what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Yes.
We all have complementary Mercury signs.
What's your Mercury?
Pisces.
Oh,
Wait,
water.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like,
Yeah.
when it comes to the Mercury placements, and I gotta admit, like when it comes to synastry, I don't always look at Mercury as
Yeah,
much.
I don't either. Synastry, you want to look at Mercury more, but for a composite chart, Mercury's not your make or break planet.
Yeah.
It's just going to show how much on the day to day do you really get along with this person.
Oh.
Oh.
But the synastry chart is the point of looking at a synastry chart. That's one chart overlaid on top of another in astrology, is to see, well, what does the day to day look like?
Yeah.
It is kind of a Mercury take on compatibility, whereas a composite or a Davison relationship chart is the philosophical big picture of the relationship, which has more of a Jupiter kind of,
Okay.
you're looking.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
I see that.
So
Okay.
it's like, how do we get along on the day to day versus what's the destiny of our relationship?
Okay, so you look to Mercury and Jupiter for those.
Well,
Mercury for day to day, Jupiter for the expansion. Or the,
you look at all of it for both, but I'm just comparing like a synastry chart is kind of like a Mercury point of view.
Okay. I'm
And then
tracking now.
the Davison or composite is like a Jupiter point of view.
Dope.
But you can still have mercurial things in a long-term relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I have it in some past relationships. It was the poorly aspected Mercury to Uranus. It's like we can't communicate ever. We're never on the same, like our words, someone's getting mad, maybe Mercury Mars stuff going on. So you got to look at everything.
So for our listeners that are tuning in, if you want to know what your Mercury sign is, go to one of the astrology websites and put in your information and it'll tell you what your Mercury is
Where
in.
it falls.
Yep. Mercury's out. It's like the little...
So it looks like the Venus symbol.
With a little...
Yeah, it's got little Taurus horns.
At the top. Yeah, it has like a little...
It's got
horn at the top.
antlers.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. And if you don't have your time of birth, you should at least still be able to
You'll
see
still
what
be able
Mercury-
to, yeah.
Yeah, if it's right on the cusp, then maybe that might be a little iffy. But
Not having your time of birth will only make your astrological houses and the rising sign unknown, and then the placement of the moon.
Yeah.
So-
Because that will affect it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
but if because the moon takes 2.5 days to transit any sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mercury takes
about 27 days to move through every sign.
just a month.
So it's the fastest moving planet besides the moon, I guess, because the moon it's cyclical. Which makes sense. Cancers are moody, and the moon is constantly changing. The moon rules Cancer.
Yeah.
So, but Mercury, it's that swift energy. It's constantly trying to catch up. Or the Earth is trying to catch up with it.
And that's why the Mercury retrogrades are kind of the more prominent retrogrades besides, because, the outer planets go retrograde pretty often. But, and I mean, I don't know.
For longer periods of time.
Yeah, for longer periods. But
Whereas Mercury, it goes so fast. It'll go all the way ahead, and then it can only go so far ahead of the sun before it has to turn around and go retrograde.
Oh.
So it kind of, in a Virgo or Gemini kind of way, it's like extreme. It's like, I'm going to run this marathon all the way to this 200% thing and then realize I'm exhausted and that I missed something or that I have to go back and correct something. So then it retrogrades backwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
go ahead. What was your question?
if Mercury is in retrograde when you're born, does that mean
It's
when
a retrograde life. Just kidding.
Oh.
Just kidding.
Well, no,
but if you have a birthday when Mercury is in retrograde, like let's say this year, my birthday, Mercury retrograde, it will be considered a retrograde year where you're reviewing your life. But oftentimes if someone's born when Mercury is in retrograde, there could be something about that mercurial skill that's wounded. I like to think of a retrograde as a wound. So it's not working perfectly.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, wow. That's such a nice look on it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about how Mercury's signs, and I want to talk about in relation to dirty talk, but also communication with your partners.
With your partner? Should we
Yeah.
go sign by sign?
We can kind of go side by side.
Well,
if we
let's talk about Scorpio, and you said complementary is also Pisces.
Yeah, we're both water
Or we can
signs.
start off with like the water ones and then move to air.
Sure.
fire.
Yeah, let's
sure.
do that.
I mean,
Yeah.
based on astrology, it would be fire, earth, air, water. But we can go in any order you guys want.
Now let's start off with water.
All right,
Since
let's talk
we're
about
all
water.
waters. Yeah.
Yeah,
do
baby.
water, yeah.
Emotions.
I can definitely see how like Scorpio Mercury's like to dive in because like I feel like that's how I am. I'll never, if someone gives me an answer and I feel like there's more left to be told, I'm like,
Let's
Give
pull
me
it
that
up.
information.
I need to find out more.
Oh my god. Well, Scorpio Mercury typically is going to look like a psychologist placement, or like we said, the
Oh,
FBI. Or
Yeah.
it's what the details of the day-to-day life are focused on scorpionic things, the
Mhm.
underworld, the unconscious, psychology, the brain, the mind, getting to the truth, uncovering generational trauma.
Oh
Mhm.
shit.
So when Scorpio Mercury is happening, it's a very demanding Mercury placement.
Oh.
It wants things on its terms. It wants
Mhm.
things to be the way that it likes it.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about how this fits for you guys?
Like I was saying, for me, and my partner that I'm referring to, the first time that I ever met him, he literally asked me so many questions about myself.
Well,
And
that's
it
the
was
thing.
and we're both Scorpio Mercuries, but I just remember like he was asking so much and diving in so much that as I was like sitting there talking to him, I'm like, I bet he's got a Mercury in Scorpio. Lo and behold, when I did his chart, his Mercury was in Scorpio. But also like when it comes like to like in the bedroom, for
Yeah.
example, for me, I need feedback and I need to know, like I need some sort of verbal communication to know that things are going well. Otherwise, I'm gonna get like impatient.
Well, and also you need to be like in the same rhythm on a
Mhm.
soul level with your partner when
Yes.
you're doing mercurial bedroom things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if they're not talking and they're not telling me anything, then I'm sitting there like, well, they're not in it, and so then I get out of it.
Yeah.
So then I'm not in it.
It pushes you out.
It pushes me out. Yeah.
Uh-huh. What
But
do you-
if we like dive in and we both like communicate a lot during sex, then and like the deeper that we go with it, the more fulfillment I get out of it. For example, one of my partners, a different one, one thing that I love is that like all the time when we're having sex, I'll be like, oh, I love this about like, being inside you, or like I love this about your cock. I love this, like all these different
Mercury
things.
Scorpio's living for that.
Yes,
Tell
and
me
so-
exactly what you like.
And when I love like when I say something and then he says something in return, and like we both keep like diving in deeper with it and like adding more details about what it is that we're,
Yeah.
and because that to me, like that feedback, lets me know like, okay, this is, like we're both connected, we're both in it. And then also like it like gets me wetter. I don't know, puts me more in the mood.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cami?
I'm over here thinking, I'm like, I don't know if I'm that way. Okay, so for me, I feel like Mercury in Scorpio shows up like I do get very OCD about certain things.
Uh-huh.
And like I want certain things to be like a certain way, or like my brain's like, this is wrong, everything's wrong, everything needs to be fixed. I don't
Okay,
like
but
it.
that might be more Virgo Venus. We're talking about
Oh, you guys do have a Virgo Venus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, those two placements might, but like when it comes to like communication,
Uh-huh.
yes. Well, I mean, in communicating, like, it was just the way I put it together. Anyways, in communicating, I feel like I always want to uncover more information. In bed, I prefer to be silent though, and give. Well, not completely silent. I like to
A
give.
little more passive.
I like to give like very
Delicate signs of enjoyment.
yeah.
I
Well,
identify.
I like to like moan and stuff. Obviously, like
Yeah.
to show them that I'm enjoying it, or like. But I like to be demure with my words, and I want them to come.
Nikki's like, what the fuck?
I want them to come to me with like.
I'm just trying to figure out where this is coming from, because like
it's
that
probably
can't
the
be our
Venus
Scorpio.
in Virgo.
Okay, so she's
very,
having more
almost like prudent, or maiden like deflower me,
But
daddy.
yeah, I guess I would say like I don't want feedback in bed.
Yeah.
I want to just hear that I'm doing a great job and that I'm pleasing them. And then yeah, well, I'm trying to think. It's just like I don't know. I'm gonna have to think on this more. But
There's one person, hold on, that I remember the feedback that they were giving me. I was like, this is not jamming with me. And I have their chart. So I'm going to look up what their Mercury
sign
was in.
is.
okay,
Watch
so
it be Scorpio. No, Mercury in Capricorn.
Oh, that's not necessarily bad for Scorpio, but a Mercury in Capricorn is going to tell you exactly.
Yes, and the way that it's like, and
I would hate that.
it was almost a little too exact.
Mhm.
Like it was like
I like direction, but if you're like, no, go this, do that, like it. But if it's like if it comes off in a certain like way, I'm just like,
So I just remember feeling like it didn't feel like very sexual talk. It felt more like instructions or like
yes,
like someone is giving me like check marks on like a test.
So
yes, I hate
I've
that.
hooked up with Capricorns a bunch of times. It's my rising sign. I like
Mercury
Capricorns.
and Capricorn.
No, just Capricorn in general, but I
Okay.
think it works for Capricorn or Mercury and Capricorn.
Mm,
you know?
okay.
So I feel like Capricorns are very much like a soldier when it comes to sex. They're
That's
like,
what it was
I'm going
like.
to go in,
Yeah.
I'm going to do my job, and then I'm coming out.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Like a
what it
battleground.
was like.
okay, wait, but let's not get.
Oh,
out
but
of-
his sun was also in Capricorn.
Well, there you go.
And his moon in Venus.
Oh my
Okay.
God, stellium and Capricorn over here.
okay,
No wonder
Yeah.
but okay, let's stick to the
the theme.
the themes. Yes. Okay. What's next? Mercury and Pisces.
Mercury and Pisces. Well, and I have my Mercury aspected to my midheaven in Scorpio.
Ah.
So, I'm a professional astrologer, spiritual coach. I take inventory of my clients in
yeah.
a very Scorpio way. I'm like trying to dissect them, diagnose them
Yes.
almost like what's wrong. So,
No, I think
well,
it works.
yeah.
Okay,
But-
so
You kind of
Mercury,
need to know that.
Mercury and Pisces, I'm going to assume that when it comes to I would get a sense of more like demure energy in the bedroom for Mercury and Pisces.
Yeah, I think it is, but Pisces is also the sign of orgasms.
Oh.
So if we're talking about like details and day to day and then orgasms, I mean, the most I've ever come by myself was, 15 times in one day.
Wow.
And
Hey,
then
me
with
too.
Hey, and then with a partner, it's like 9 times in a day.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So, but that's like, of course, a Mercury in Pisces. It never ends. It just can go forever.
Where
You
does
want
all
the
that
O.
fluid come from?
I don't know, honey, but it's a water
present.
sign energy. My sun, moon, Mercury, and Pisces.
Oh, that's one
Wow.
thing that I've heard too is that like water Mars are the people that are going to have like very
Yeah,
high.
I've got Mars in Cancer too. So,
Mars
and then a
Cancer.
Venus in Aries. So it's like, let's go.
Oh wow. Oh, so you're like horny all the time.
Yeah, and I'm Cuban, so
Yeah.
it just never stops.
Okay, what about Mercury in Cancer? I don't know if I've come across any
Well,
Mercury in
Before
Cancer.
we go to Mercury in Cancer, I do want to say Mercury is in its downfall in Pisces.
Pisces, yeah, it's too watery. It doesn't. It
Uh-huh.
can't get through all that wateriness.
But it's not. Let's reframe these downfall perspectives, okay? Because I got Mercury in Pisces, and
yeah.
I it's to have eloquence and speech and detail orientedness around the Pisces things of life.
Mm-hmm.
Astrology, spirituality, magic, to be able to speak in a compassionate way is very Mercury in Pisces.
Okay.
So, and it could be very sexual too. It intuitively tunes into its partner and gives them what it wants. So that's why Mercury in Scorpio and Mercury in Pisces sexually would be really good, because you're going to have someone who kind of wants to take charge versus someone who wants to intuit what the other person needs.
Mm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay, I see that.
I like that.
So the Mercury in
Right.
Scorpio might be the one that's like doing a little bit more of the talking, and the Mercury in Pisces
Yeah.
is going to be kind of the receptive one. To that.
Yes. And a good way, just a general rule for anyone listening, a good way to kind of perceive this. Whatever sign rules, whatever planet rules the sign that your Mercury is in is going to color the flavor of it. So for a Mercury in Scorpio, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars.
Mm-hmm.
So your Mercury is going to have those,
Pluto and Mars are also in Scorpio for us.
Oh, well, there you go. Oh my God. Mars in Scorpio is hot. We talked
Yeah.
about this before,
Yeah, we
Mhm.
have. I love my Mars in Scorpio. It's my favorite placement.
I mean, it's the sex placement. Mars in
Mhm.
Scorpio and Mars in Aries.
Love
Okay, so when we think about Mercury in Pisces, it's a Jupiter or a Neptune ruled Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
So it's less detail oriented and more abstract.
I was gonna
Mhm.
say, yeah, maybe a little bit more expansive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also a little more like quirky.
A little quirky, yeah, for sure. And
Mercury and Pisces might be a little more quirky. here. I
yes.
see that.
Eccentric,
Yeah.
kind of off the beaten path.
I like
So,
that because I can see that in you.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, and then I got the Capricorn rising, so it's like I'm kind of stiff at times, but then the majority of the first house is in Aquarius. So it's like,
So So would a Scorpio Mercury do well with a Scorpio in Cancer, or with a Mercury in Cancer?
Yeah,
Mercury
yeah.
in Cancer.
So, what do you think a Mercury in Cancer would be like, knowing what the ruling sign for or
Very
planet?
homey,
Yes, because the
very
moon is ruling here.
very nurturing in their communication.
Almost like
probably.
motherly or fatherly.
Yeah.
It's gonna bring parental energy. My
Mhm.
ex Brad has Mercury in Cancer, and his speaking voice is just like, oh,
Very. Is it like very like nurturing?
it's
love?
sensual, and he's got an incredible singing voice.
Oh.
Well, I was
So-
gonna say, can Mercury affect like your actual voice?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like Nikki and I are very like I feel like our voice is very Mars in a way. If that I don't know how to
Mm.
explain
Explain it
that,
to
but
me.
I don't know how to explain
Okay.
that. But like I feel like
We have rough voices.
yeah, I
I
don't know.
disagree. I think you guys have very Libra-esque kind
Oh.
of voices. Smooth,
I don't know.
enjoyable,
Interesting.
pleasurable.
I don't think we do, but people do tell us.
No
They're
one
"I
likes
love
her
hearing it."
laughs. At least
It's like a cackle with a dry wheezing. With
we
dry
do like our
wheezing.
dry heaving, like
Yeah.
with Steph all the time. We're like,
Oh my God.
oh my god.
Well, a Mercury in Scorpio, like that Mars energy being behind it, you guys aren't going to be afraid to talk about like more
Mm.
intense things like
Mm.
sex.
So like I look at Cancer and Pisces and they're not as intense. So they're
Yeah.
probably not going to be, of all the water signs in Mercury, they're not going to be the most crass in their like
Mercury in Scorpio is more crass.
Yeah,
Or more
so-
direct.
yeah. So whereas Cancer and Pisces are probably going to be a little bit more demure in
Mhm.
their choice of words and how they
Interesting.
communicate.
Yeah. Well, and a Cancer Mercury is going to be very emotional.
Mhm.
Like the way that you communicate with somebody, it's just like, oh, you hurt my feelings when you said this little detail.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I can see that.
But also, they're going to have skill around like cleanliness and maintenance and having a beautiful home and how to decorate your furniture. Like these very homey themes, or how to nurture someone.
Mm-hmm.
Love
That's very
that.
Mercury in Cancer.
Oh.
Okay, if we're gonna move on to, I don't know what we said we would do after
Fire
water.
signs.
No, but I was gonna say, so my C, the girl that I am seeing, I don't know what you call her.
Mhm.
Or best friends with benefits is what we call each other.
BF.
WB, BFWB,
BFWB.
best friends with benefits.
Oh.
No.
because we're like best friends, but we like to tag team dudes. So
Hell yeah. Get it,
there,
girls.
that's
What's
the
her
benefit.
sign?
She's a Taurus.
Ooh, so you like
You
both.
met her, remember?
What's her name?
S-
Oh, yes. Yes, I
You met her at
did.
the
I
that
did.
day her turtle had died, so she was really sad.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
What's her
Okay,
Mercury in?
But she says, speaking as a Gemini Mercury, we really need communication during sex to make it the most pleasurable experience possible. Talking about likes, dislikes, wants, and needs. We love dirty talk, but nothing degrading or seriously deemed dirty. We just enjoy hearing how much you love fucking us, how body parts feel, how hot you find us, etc.
Oh yeah, Mercury and Gemini is like full on naughty conversation. They want you to like write them a fucking Harlequin novel and like
Mhm.
deliver it while you're in bed. You know?
Love that.
Or they might be the one who's like giving you a blowjob and coming up for her and being like, "Yeah, you like that? You want more of that?" Like sometimes it's a little too wordy for me.
So I one of my friends with benefits, it's Calvin. I have his chart as well. Hold on. And I've mentioned Calvin a bunch.
Hey,
He
Calvin.
also has a Mercury. Hold on. Is his Mercury? Yeah, his Mercury is also in Gemini. And
I like that placement.
Mercury and
I've
Gemini?
found Mercury and Gemini is perfect for what I want to be told in bed.
Oh.
No,
Yes.
but that's
Okay,
I
so we're
love the
doing
way,
the air signs.
Yeah,
now?
Yeah.
Air signs it is.
No, but I love the way that he talks to me in bed because he'll be like, it's very kind of like what you said. It's just enough, and it's not instructional, but like very
Not like the Mercury and Capricorn.
not like Capricorn. Like they have more of like charm with it.
Yeah, it's witty. It's
more
well
witty.
timed.
Yes, well timed.
Well
yeah.
timed.
And then not only that, but
I'm
like
trying to see this one person.
the deliveries all the deliveries is just like on point is what I've
Yeah,
noticed. I
yeah.
really like Gemini or Mercury in Gemini,
Well,
obviously.
Mercury is what is known as domicile in Gemini.
Gemini and
so
Virgo?
that means, well, it's exalted in Virgo.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
domicile means it's like kind of home. It's comfortable. It's its natural territory.
Mhm.
Exalted is where it like does incredibly. That's its
Mm.
best place to be in the birth chart.
Oh.
So when Mercury's in Gemini, it's like communication is fast, learning is fast, reading and writing they're typically very gifted in. And then they're the ones that when you go onto Pornhub and look through the comments and they're like writing the fucking novel in the comments. Oh yeah, like blah, you know, just getting really off to like sharing their thoughts and ideas around sex and what could happen and what they're, you know, what they're seeing.
But I definitely think that like air Mercuries are going to be the more like charming in their communication.
Yeah.
By far. I could see Mercury and Libra also being as charming. Probably a little bit more, well, I don't know. I don't know how many Mercury Libras I know.
Well, when Mercury's in Libra, they have a technical skill around relationships.
Mm.
So yeah, they will be incredibly charming. And
Okay.
also like very cleanly because you're getting a Venusian flavor behind the Mercury energy. So the way that they're trying to organize life and be detail oriented, they want to resolve conflict, stand for justice, and be really clean and beautiful.
So if someone has a Mercury in Libra, how does that aspect to like my sun and moon per se? Like, would that be a good, like, is that a good
Easy
aspect?
communication, really easy, like probably more natural than most people considering the sun and the moon together. That new moon energy goes to their Mercury. So my best friend James has Mercury in Libra, and for him it's all about like he takes a long time to make decisions. He has to weigh both sides all the time. He needs to see all of his options.
So before he communicates it, he'll probably take that time to really think about how he's going to make the delivery.
Forever. Whereas like my Venus is in Aries, I'm like, tell me what's going on.
Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like I sometimes don't think before.
Well, that could be that Aries rising.
Maybe.
A little impulsivity coming in.
Okay.
And then Mars is in Scorpio. So it's like, you know, that's a more impetuous.
Yeah.
Like, I want to get what I want.
I'm just going to say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if I know anyone with Mercury in Aquarius.
I will say a lot of the clients that I have who have Mercury in Aquarius are very technically gifted, especially in singing.
Oh.
Like I'll see a lot of opera singers who have Mercury in Aquarius.
And why do you think that is?
Well, because Aquarius is the most enlightened sign. It's the most intelligent sign, the most brilliant sign, really.
He's an Aquarius.
I know. I'm thinking about him in the corner, and I'm like, he's probably loving this. But it's it's literally the smartest sign. So when you
I was gonna say, Steph is so smart, like especially with podcasting and just
and
like
technology and
editing.
It becomes so easy to her.
So it's just built in because you know Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, the planet of progressiveness.
Yes.
The higher octave of Mercury. So you're taking brilliance and innovation and putting it into the sign of daily life, details, organization. So these people are inventors, designers, technicians, whatever they do, they're going to be the best at it. And they're going to be very innovative at it.
So do you think Mercury in Aquarius is going to be good at dirty talk or no?
I
feel like they'd be really good at communicating in terms of a relationship, but I'm trying to think of in bed.
It depends on to what level of intimacy the relationship is. If they're like with a partner that they're like really in love with, which is very rare for an Aquarius because they're such solo flyers, they might not go there. Like an Aquarius can suffer from the Madonna whore complex, where they either see their partner as like feminine and motherly and like, you know, this one image of a partner or a woman versus the whore where they're like naughty and dirty and, you know, Aquariuses have a hard time integrating.
I was going to say, do they compartmentalize a lot?
Yeah, kind of like a Gemini does. But Aquarius is more afraid to catch feelings, where Gemini is just like bipolar.
Gemini will be like, let's do it. And
then
they're like, we're done.
Just kidding.
We're done.
Whereas an Aquarius is like, oh, I kind of need to dissociate a little bit in order to go into the sexual experience because I only want to settle down for the ultimate perfect partner.
Yeah.
And if it's not that, well, then I can't like fool around with you because they don't want to lead you on because they're so considerate. But also they're going to be dicks while, you know, putting you at an arm's length away.
So if you have a Mercury in Aquarius, like what would be a good part? What Mercury placement would be a good, nice balance to that kind of thing?
Mercury and Leo would be very nice. Aquarius and Leo goes well together because Leo's got such a big ego that they want to hold on so tight that when they fall in love with an Aquarius, they're not going to let go. Whereas the Aquarius is going to feel more like, oh, I need to dissolve my ego. I need to think about everybody. Like the self-esteem of Aquarius can be minimized, but their brilliance is maximized. It's
Ooh.
really ironic because they're the most competent people who feel the most imposter syndrome.
Interesting.
Whereas a Leo might suffer from the opposite, where like their ego is so big and they think they're the best, but they can actually miss the big picture.
Wow.
So we've got good self-esteem versus good brilliance. The two have a lot to learn from each other.
Interesting.
So you brought up Mercury and Leo.
Yes.
So let's move on to the fire signs. I believe when it comes to the fire signs in relation to Mercury, they're probably going to be the most creative in their like communication, maybe their dirty talk, maybe like the way you like in your relationship, like I don't know. I feel like when it comes to communicating, they're probably going to find creative ways to go about it.
Yeah, I think expressive is going to be the more, I think of Madonna, who would like, I'm just going to try on this British accent. And, like.
She did that?
Oh, yeah, honey. Like,
Oh.
all for years, she'd just be like, I'm Madonna. Like, and then just. Madonna. But Mercury and Leo, they're not going to hold their opinion back. Like, this is what I think. This is how you should do this. It's a little bit of a bossy placement.
So they're going to let you know.
Oh, yeah. They're going to let you know what's going on. They like to take control. They certainly are going to be singers or writers or poets, especially if you check the Venus placement and it's in a very romantic sign. Maybe like a Venus in Cancer. Or Venus in Gemini is very poetic as well.
I've come across a lot of Mercury and Sagittarius. And I really like that placement.
That's another place where Mercury's in its downfall.
Oh, really?
Yes, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So when it comes to details, they're thinking about the big picture. And my sister has this placement, and it is so frustrating at times.
Really?
Yes, because she's just like everything, like the way that her brain works. Like I'm a little quirky and out there because I see the big picture, but she's like, oh yeah, I was hanging out with this friend, and like. I knew that this other friend was present in spirit because this other person reminded me of them, and I was like, "What, girl? Like it's blending too much, in my opinion. Like
really?
she has a hard time seeing what's actually there because she's seeing the subtext behind everything, and so it's just." But my North Node's in Sag, and her Mercury's on top of it. So I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to communicate with her. And, like, not judge her for seeing life this way. And also, I do learn a lot from her, because sometimes she really hits the mustard and hits it in the right way. And I'm like, oh, I would have never seen it that way.
Because she's such a broad perspective.
And Mercury in Sagittarius also wants to learn other languages or speak other languages.
Oh, yeah.
I can see that.
Gemini,
multilingual?
Yes, but Mercury and Gemini likes this too. Just out of entertainment, but Mercury and Sag actually wants to talk to other people from other cultures.
I actually want to do it. Gemini is just like, we think we want to do it.
Yeah. Like, in theory, it's fun. It's a fun mental exercise to learn 6 languages and then
I could see
never
that.
use any of them because they're in the local community that Gemini is all about.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense. I was looking through my chart, and I feel like a lot of the people that I've had sex with are Mercury and Gemini. And then the Scorpio and then Sagittarius are the other two.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Well, and a Mercury and Sag is also going to be very funny.
I can see that, yeah.
Because
Very
Sagittarius
comical.
is the most trickster sign of the zodiac.
Witty.
Yes. So like the way that they'll like talk in general, they'll just use like quirky isms in their language, or just really a friend of mine, his name's Christian. Maybe he would be a good fit for the podcast. He's a Sagittarius.
Okay.
He's got a stellium in Sag, but Mercury's in there as well. And he literally teaches people stand-up comedy.
Really?
Oh.
So
I love that.
And he's got that Mercury in Sag. So he's teaching people how to be funny.
Oh.
So my mother, I was just looking at this. My mother is a Mercury and Sagittarius. And
does she blur her lines?
She's so blunt.
Because Sag is honest.
A little too honest.
I was going to say, she's honest during the times when she doesn't need to be. Like, when was it? One time, or it was not that long ago, we went to Dallas after Sammy passed. And what did she say? She was like, we're like, Sammy passed, we miss him. And she said something like,
what was it along the lines of, I'll probably remember it.
She was like, in a few weeks, you'll forget about it anyway, or something.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Honestly, like.
What's her sun sign?
Sagittarius.
Okay. So it's just coming from everyone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but when I went home, I was like, I remember thinking like, this is why, this is why I go to therapy. Because like my parents' reaction to my dog dying and me being sad about it was, you can get another dog. It'll be okay. It happened. You shouldn't have paid $8,000 for a surgery that ended up failing.
Oh my
And
god. Oh my god.
you'll be over it soon enough. And
Oh
I'm
my
just
God.
like, Nikki and I are there like,
You know what? I get it. My parents are both Virgos. So
my dad's a Virgo.
yeah, and I got the monkeypox like 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I like cried for like 5 days straight because I thought I had genital herpes. And no shade to anyone who has herpes, but the diagnosis is emotional.
It is. Oh yeah.
So, and I was waiting for this test every day. So I called my mom crying every day. Mom, like my sex life is over, which is not even true,
Mm-hmm.
but it's emotional.
Yeah.
And she was just like going hard on me. She's like, it's not that big of a deal. But she's a Virgo and a doctor.
Oh.
You know, and my dad's a Virgo and a doctor too. They're like, you can take medication for it. It's not that big of a deal. You'll be fine.
Honestly, like when you dive into herpes, it really isn't as big of a deal as anyone
It's
said.
not. But for a Pisces person who's like, oh my God, I'm in Pisces and
Yeah.
crises. You know? I'm
Yeah.
sure
Pisces and crises. I love
So
That needs to be a group chat.
Yes.
it is a good group chat title.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of it, she's like, what did you learn from this? And I was like, well, I learned that when I'm having a deep emotional upheaval,
not to call.
not to call you. And she started laughing and she's like, yeah, you're probably right. And I'm like,
Love that.
all right, Virgo mom, I see you, girl.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love going to my mother, just because she's my mother and obviously I like to talk to her.
Yeah.
But I'll admit she's not necessarily the most like nurturing or comforting person.
Sag mother. I mean, that's not what you go to for a Sag.
Yep. And and with a Sag Mercury, it's in her communication. It's never been one where she's like, she offers those like comforting words.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I would have thought Mercury and Aries would have been more blunt, but it's like,
Mercury and Aries is just like dynamic.
oh,
You know,
I see that.
It's not necessarily blunt. It might be a little punchy.
mm,
Maybe blunt, but more punchy.
okay.
A Mercury and Sag is just going to be like blunt and honest, like calling a spade, but in the least tactful way possible.
Uh-huh.
Whereas a Mercury and Aries is going to be like, zooming forward.
I
But
think if I know anyone with a
I'm
Mercury
thinking,
and
your mom
Aries.
being a Sagittarius, you guys were
Yeah.
born in Buenos Aires?
Cordoba.
Cordoba,
Mhm.
Argentina. And she's a Sag. She's like, well, we're moving. And then,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you're getting that going. And like for her, she learned another language. She
Mhm.
did all of the things.
We know 2 languages.
Mm.
There
because
you
of
go.
that.
Spanish?
Yeah. Spanish.
Mhm.
Yeah. Vamos a hablar.
Vamos a la playa, a me gusta bailar.
Dame gasolina.
Dame
Yeah, we know a lot more Spanish than that.
What's that one show where they were like learning Spanish?
Sábado gigante.
They were like, la biblioteca está ahí.
Oh my god.
I hate it when, actually, I'll say this. I've had guys before that they're like, they know I speak 2 languages. So then
Yeah.
when we're having sex, they're like, can you say something in Spanish?
Oh,
And I'm like,
God. I'm
what
like,
the
no,
fuck
that's my
am I
worst
gonna
nightmare.
say?
I know, like-
so I'm
Puta
saying,
madre.
like, you could literally be like,
Come
say
mi
something like,
concha.
the washer is on, and they're going to be like, oh, God. And I just remember one time I was having sex with a guy and he's like, can you say something in Spanish, make it sexy? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I said something and then he was like, never mind, I don't like it.
All right, you want to hear my sexy Spanish phrase?
Let's hear it.
Cuando estás en el baño, necesito más servilletas. And it sounds sexy.
Cuando estoy en el baño necesito más servilletas. Oh my god. Wait, do I have his chart? Let me see what
¿Por
I
qué no me tuteas, mami?
Huh?
That's a whole other.
I know all the lyrics to that Pepa's song.
Wait, that guy was
Pepa, el
a
agua para seca, todo el mundo en pastilla en la discoteca. Okay. No, and he's got, and then he's got his Mercury was actually in Cancer, and he was very blunt with his communication.
But his son was.
Sun, Leo, and then a Libra moon.
Yeah.
I
you have
really
to-
liked this guy. We had phenomenal sex.
The Libra moon is great for you. You
Oh,
have
he
to
was an
think-
asshole.
You always gotta take the Sun Mercury Venus combination into consideration when thinking about communication.
Because
Okay. right?
Yeah,
Sun,
they're
Mercury,
the
Venus.
planets that kind of travel the closest together.
Mhm.
But then also check Mars, check the third house.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta look. It's not just the Mercury placement. You know, there's a lot of
You gotta
things.
take it all into.
Exactly.
Wait, we haven't
exactly.
done Earth, Mercury. Is
Wait,
that
no, we
something?
haven't done. Didn't finish Aries.
Oh, Aries, yeah, dynamic, forward motion. Aries, Mars people are really brilliant.
Aries,
as well.
Mercury's.
Excuse me, Aries, Mercury. Typically very brilliant, very dynamic in their thinking. They're not afraid to be a little progressive. Like Aries is ruled by the mantra, "I am who I am." So an Aries Mercury person is like, "Ha! This is what I believe. Fuck everybody else who thinks something different because it's my thought."
The Aries rising is.
I
Really
was gonna say
present.
I feel like that actually checks. Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
And I'm not mad at it. I my Venus is in an Aries, so I'm here for that kind of energy.
Of the 3 fire signs, which one do you think would be the best at like bedroom talk? I'm curious. Because wait, no, our Mercury's in Scorpio, so we should be looking at complementary Earth Mercury's.
Yeah. A Mercury and Taurus would be nice for you guys.
Ooh.
Because it's going to be friction, opposition, very sensual versus very sexual.
Let me see if my ex.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about the Earth signs. And I do have, after we go through all the signs, I do have one question regarding communication on your opinion. But let's do Earth signs.
All right, let's start with Taurus.
Okay, so yes, my ex-husband was a Mercury and Taurus. And I thought, I'm trying to think of the bedroom talk. It was like,
I mean,
it was pretty good.
It's not the spiciest.
It wasn't spicy,
but it's consistent.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it was not. It was reliable.
It's really that's
It's
it, baby.
reliable.
Taurus has got roots.
It's
So-
it's not spicy, but it's reliable.
Yeah, and it's ruled by Venus, so
And his Venus and Sun were in Taurus.
beautiful. So he's got a little stellium going on there.
Mhm.
So that energy of Taurus being ruled by Venus, it's about pleasure and sensuality. So when it comes to sex, a Mercury in Taurus wants to draw the experience out as long as possible.
Mm-hmm. Oh
You
yeah.
know, they want to extract it like squeezing a lemon, every drop of juice coming out of it. A Mercury in Taurus also can be very lazy.
Yeah.
Because they're focused on comfort. So the planet that's about details and organization, this kind of Mercury, Virgo-y flavor, is coming through Venus in the slowest sign of the zodiac, Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Taurus is planting roots. How much does a tree really go anywhere?
Yeah. No, it's true.
You know?
It's true.
So,
What a revelation.
Yeah, I will say it was like good, reliable sex, but it was never. Or I shouldn't
it's
say
not
never.
like mind-blowing.
It wasn't mind blowing, but it was
but
like
it's consistent.
and it
It's
was nice,
frequent.
and it was comforting. Yeah,
It's comfort.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what Taurus is about. It's comforting the ego.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think about that Mercury and Taurus, like, okay, maybe they're not like the most get up and go kind of people, but they have nice speaking voices. The details in their
I liked his voice a lot. Yeah.
there you go.
Nice.
But the bedroom's also going to have like comfy pillows. The details will be in like the essential oils or the whatever fragrances are in the room. There's going to be a bunch of different bottles of things in the bathroom to adorn yourself with or shower with.
He was really big on showering before sex.
Yeah, they like so annoying. Like, let's just get down and dirty. Like, go to the gym first and then fuck me and then let's shower. You
Yeah,
know?
it would literally be gym, shower, fuck, shower again.
Oh my god.
It was a process.
Well, Venus is
But
a
it was-
very
it was nice.
cleanly
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of energy.
Yeah.
It's very Pride and Prejudice.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
it's kind of got a proper energy to it. So
But I definitely remember, like, I still kept a lot of the notes that he wrote me.
love notes.
Yeah.
Of course, because the Venus ruled Mercury.
Yeah, and so and
Very romantic.
one thing about him and I remember my ex, like in the beginning especially, I wrote a lot of like deep, long, like very emotional passages to him in letters. And then in the instances where he would write to me, which we used to write each other little notes all the time, they were much, much shorter than mine. But he always had a really, like, his words were always very comforting. They got straight to the point in terms of what I needed to hear to get like that reassurance from him. And yeah, it was just like when I look back and read them, it was that reliability, that comfort, that like security that he gave me, like really shone through those words. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shined.
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 I'm
What's the
thinking
past tense for
of
shine?
our friend canosexual Ashley Manta.
Yeah.
So she's a Taurus. I'm not sure about her Mercury placement, but just being in her presence, like she's got these bright blue eyes and this nice blonde hair, and Taurus is opposite of Scorpio. So Scorpio is all underworld and everything's black and dark, and when you're looking or talking to that Taurus or Mercury in Taurus, it's like, oh, it's kind of like the skin commercials where they Garnier and they're splashing the water on their face.
Yeah.
You know, that's very Taurus kind of energy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Okay,
I
what
like
are the
that.
other two signs? We already talked a little bit about Mercury and Capricorn.
Yeah, direct,
Very
blunt,
direct, very-
punchy, but not the way a Mercury and Aries is.
It feels like a business meeting.
Yeah. It's like a business email, actually.
Yes.
That is Mercury in Capricorn to a T. They fucking
Yes.
live for the business email.
He literally said, and I kid you not, like as I was blowing him, he was like, "That's so much pleasure, thank you."
It sounds like a work email.
I was like, "Okay, kind regards, comma."
All the best.
I was like, "Oh my god!" I didn't know
What? I hope I never sleep with a Mercury and Capricorn.
I'm not
I'm
mad at it
sorry.
because I'm a Capricorn rising. So I'm like, yeah. I dated a Capricorn for a little while, and like we would have sex, and he was always consistent.
Yeah.
He was always
Earth
good at
signs
it.
are going to be consistent.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And
Yeah.
he like did some stuff with my feet that I was like not expecting. And
Ooh.
you know, so that was nice too. Like he had his little tips and tricks, but it was always like the soldier. We would
That's-
get there.
yeah.
He showed up for the job. He did the job, and then we were done.
This guy also, I remember,
Exactly.
This guy also, I remember, he literally said, I think he thought I came, which I didn't. He was like, okay, it's my turn now. And then he like flipped me over and fucked me until he came, and then he was out, and I was like, okay.
You know, but Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, so it's kind of like a dryness. It's just
It was
really
very dry.
It sounds
yeah.
dry.
You know. So were you dry while you were getting fucked by dry?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, well. at
Wait, what
least
about, okay, last but not least, Mercury and Virgo.
Virgo exalted here?
So he likes it.
Yeah, wonderful with dirty talk, very raunchy talk. Virgo is the raunchiest sign of the zodiac,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not afraid to get carnal. What they're going to do is study the body, figure out what makes you tick, and then execute.
That's my Virgo Venus. That's where I get
Well,
that from.
so
yeah.
it kind of works the same way, right?
Yeah, so with
Wait,
Mercury.
you said Mercury and that's Mercury and Virgo, right?
Yeah, that's Mercury,
Mercury
and
and
Virgo.
Virgo.
Who is this?
Who'd that be?
Wait, who is it? Oh.
Yeah, wait, say that again with Mercury and Virgo.
When Mercury is in Virgo, it's exalted.
Mm.
It's
So it likes to be
Virgo's-
there.
Its favorite place to be. It's the
Mhm.
most powerful in this sign because
He's very charismatic.
well, they're
very
good
eloquent.
communicators.
Yes,
they're,
yes.
They're good writers, good speakers, good organizers. Unless it's retrograded or poorly aspected otherwise in the birth chart, or like hidden in the 12th house or the 8th house. But typically, a Mercury in Virgo will be seen as like, wow, they're so cleanly put together, sharp, well dressed. It's like when we were at your guys' apartment before we came over to record the episode. One of you came out and was like, "Do you notice this little butter stain on my pants right here?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Girl, I would not have seen that ever
It's right here.
until you pointed it out." And I was like, I thought to myself, how are these girls not Virgos?
Yeah, we're Virgo Venus.
But you guys have Virgo Venus.
Mhm.
So I like it. I like that placement.
Interesting.
Well,
Well,
I'm connecting more to my Virgo Venus for sure.
Own it. That's where Virgo's in its downfall in Venus.
Yeah,
but
but-
it's still got a gift there.
I actually think it's like not a bad place for it to be.
When planets are in downfall, it's not a bad place. It's
It
just
really
it gets
isn't.
this weird rep. Like my
Yeah.
Mercury in Pisces, it's the strongest aspected planet in my chart. So I am a Mercury powered dude.
Mm-hmm.
So for that Venus in Virgo, you guys are going to be skilled on the carnality of the human body. It's a very fleshy Venus.
I like that.
What
That's
does
why
that mean?
touch. That's why I like touch so much.
Physical
oh
touch.
yeah, we love touch.
Me too.
Okay, our third favorite Aquarius is letting us know we're okay. we're
Okay,
gonna-
what-
Well, because
Well, last-
someone showed up late to the recording.
Yeah, I know. Wait,
I
hold
know.
on. One last question. Which Mercury sign do you think is the most notorious at ghosting?
Either Aquarius or Gemini.
Ah, I
You
knew
know,
it. Okay.
those placements.
Yeah, I could see.
All
that.
right. Well, Danny, plug yourself in.
All right, baby. Danny Santos. I'm starting my own podcast, which launches on October 25th. Astro Daddy. It's going to be on the day of the new moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, which is also my midheaven sign. You can follow me at Santos Crystal Visions on Instagram or Astro Daddy Podcast on TikTok.
Woo!
And reach out if you
Yes.
want to book a session, sex, love, relationship, intimacy, or birth chart readings for astrology. I do tarot, spiritual life coaching, breath work, blah, blah, blah. You get the picture. Oh, and training to be an ayahuasca shaman.
Yes.
I can't wait to do ayahuasca with you.
And everybody, you know where to find us. doubleteampodcast.com for all the relevant links. We love you. Come to the live show. You'll get to meet Danny.
Yeah, baby.
Yes. Wear
October
condoms. Love you.
I love that sound.
Thank you.
So,
That went so well. It's Giraffe. Oh, wait, it's Joseph. Which I can't even tell. It's Joel.
Joel.